was looking at one of Walt's videos with his.
We're live. Just so you know. Hey everybody. We got a 660 on the bench and we have special guest. Mason's here. Hanging out. He was actually mucking around with this thing. And while we're waiting for people to show up. So I was actually going to... Right, I was going to tell you about the 372 that blew up. That blew up.
The crank.
The crank let go. The head was basically fine, but if you looked at, because I couldn't figure out where, there's pieces of metal that tore the heck out of the head, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And I remembered that I'd put that Chinese crank in there.
On a bearing pole.
And the main bearing, the cage itself, had pieces missing from it. But in order to get that out, I actually had to cut. That was the crank that I had cut open. So, yeah, unfortunately, that head is no longer usable. But
Was it OEM?
Yeah, that was the big bore OEM head, and it's down at Mike Shetley's. Rattler's got it, and he's gonna copy it. I asked him to copy it.
Really?
Yeah.
The JMS one.
Yeah. So.
That was a good running song.
So I'm gonna get it copied and see, because I think that head was off kilter significantly, because if you looked at the main conrod at what was going on there, the cage was actually only worn on one side, really? So the rod was off kilter somehow. Hey Vince.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jason did that.
So, anyway, we have a 660 on here this afternoon. We have Vince showed up. Who else is here? It says 5 people are here. Bob's, Bambell Bob's here. Okay, good. Everybody say hi to Mason.
What's up? It's funny how the camera's delayed, isn't it?
Oh yeah. My two moderators are here. James Faust is here, and Ken's here also. Creamsicle night. Vince is doing a plow to tractor, $55 hardware freight winch. Jane's good to go. Hopefully. So this 660 is running fine, but it's missing a little something.
Holy shit.
What happened here?
I didn't hit it.
Well, is that actually bent, or is that the way it's supposed to be?
Because I noticed it was rubbing on there too. What's bent to me?
It looks bent. Is that bent? I think it's bent.
Yeah. Could probably put it in a vise.
I figured because I know that the Huzzle wrap handles, or the 3/4 wrap, is just no good. It's just so flimsy. So they recommend getting the highway. Walt's always recommending getting the highway because it's much more heavy duty. So I figured, well, let's try the wrap handle and see if that's any good. And apparently it gets bent.
So it has too much power for it.
It has too much power. Yeah, that's it. Sure.
I mean, if I was on a 372, maybe I'll be right. It's a heavy saw too, yeah.
It is a heavy saw. You're right. Let me throw that down. Hell with it. Okay. So, yeah, Mason was noticing. Does Mason need delete? It's hard to delete Mason from here.
I guess I have a lot of haters.
No. James, since he's become moderator, he's got a bit of an edgy trigger finger, just to delete people randomly. You give guys too much power, and the things happen. It's just
Because I was looking at it when I was using it, I noticed it was hitting the cover a little bit. The filter did a pretty decent job of keeping stuff out.
I assume you cleaned that, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Usually these come back and they're full.
I try and return the size close to what they were when they were given to me. There is a little bit of gas in it, just so you know.
Ready for some snow? Yeah, we're getting it.
Did they say the time?
Noonish tomorrow. Something like that. What happened to this thing here? There's a guard here. No? Okay. God. Mason's over there giving me the face. Okay. It's supposed to be some type of a blocking
Yeah, I
thingy.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's like rubber or whatever. Right?
Yeah, it's a rubber thingy. Yeah, we're 6+ here. 6 inches plus is what we're looking at. I need a box or something. I don't know if I got it either.
And when they put OEM rubber buffers on it?
No, I got a box. It's big, but it's awkward, but whatever.
You know what's funny?
What?
That card kit that you gave me for the HD carburetor.
Yeah.
The gasket said made in the USA on them. Isn't that funny? The gasket said made in the USA on it.
Just a little odd.
So it must be cheaper for them to buy it here and then ship it there and then ship it back here. Packaging, Chinese packaging.
I think something's wrong with this box, Mason. It's not going to work. Oh, I know. I'll just put it in that. Put this under here for now. I can use 372 box.
So GB bar.
Sorry, 350. Yeah, it's a GB bar, and my buddy decided to leave it under his deck or something, so it's a little rusty. I don't know what he was thinking. Like, Mike, what the heck? So that actually came apart and is back together right now, which is good. Ali Yilmaz, made in Gianna. Mike Burrish made it. Hey, great. So, Mike, you can always ask questions or whatever. Since you haven't been here before, you're welcome to ask questions or heckle or anything. You can do it live, If you heckle too much, though, just so you know, James will hit you.
102.
120 and 80, yeah.
That's not like typical numbers, right?
Yeah, it's pretty typical numbers. It's difficult to hit that often with the regular steel cylinders, though. So typically you end up at like 96 and 84, and then you put the transfers kind of wherever.
Yeah, 96 is too high.
So this saw has been heavily messed with. Yes, it's a Chinese 660, but
Not really.
not really. It's got an OEM carburetor. It's got a cross head on it. It's got a dual port muffler highway. It's got a OEM triggers, OEM wrist pin bearing.
That carburetor tune's probably nice.
The carburetor works good. Yeah, it better. It's OEM.
It tunes. It stays.
Just mint. Yeah, that's good.
Might have to fatten it up the next time I run it because I haven't run it since it was like 70 degrees out. It's 30 now.
Yeah, it's a Walbro carburetor. Small. I am a small guy. He will creep up on you. So I'm just going to start pulling this apart. The reason we're taking this apart is not because it doesn't run. It runs fine. But it's missing a little something. Like my port work either sucks or something's up, basically. It's been running for a while now without a whole lot of trouble. So I don't think there's...
It needs more power.
Yeah, it's got good compression. Like, it's got really good compression. I don't think there's an issue with scoring or anything like that.
No.
So that's not the problem. I think it's just the port work is just not as good as it could be, you know?
How much did you widen?
Well, we're going to find out. I don't remember. Knee deep in snowblowers this morning. You're in. Ollie is in Turkey. Welcome. And yeah, we're in the USA. I'm in Farmington, Connecticut. How many people are here? 14 people.
40 to 1 is my randomness.
Yeah. And I've been mostly running True Fuel because I don't do that much running. You know, so if I'm out going to do some cutting with somebody, I just grab a can or two and bring it with me, and that's as much cutting as I'm going to do.
And you don't have to worry about
You'd go broke
out.
if you ended up doing that, you know. So this is an original fuel cap?
OEM.
OEM fuel cap.
Yeah, I changed it.
Yeah, something's probably warped. That's probably what... It's probably warped. This is probably not exactly flat or something like that, right?
That doesn't... It only does it when you leave it for like a month. It's better with that cap than another one, though. I promise you that, though.
I don't think that's an OEM fuel line. I think that's the aftermarket line. It looks fine.
Yeah, it seems fine.
I don't think that's an OEM fuel line. I think that's the aftermarket line. It looks fine.
I think it's hit or miss with a lot of this stuff.
It really is. Yeah.
You just... Can a professional have the time to...
No.
No, but can you? Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had that comment on the channel this morning. There was a guy that commented this morning. He's like, "Well, what's the point? And you know, if you're just going to replace it with all OEM parts." And the point is that if you just go and buy a saw, then you don't have the benefit or fun of putting it together. Craig Stark, good afternoon. You know, there's a huge educational benefit to putting this together yourself.
And if you screw this up...
Right, and if we screw this up, who cares?
And then that way, after you've done 1 or 2 of these, you can do an OEM one without even breaking the sweat.
Right, you can do it. We can put an OEM one together without, you know, any trouble, basically.
I should have dumped that out before I bought it.
That's all right. Yeah. Leave the cap loose. I can pull this. Let's see here. I forget how to do these darn things.
You gotta take
The throttle off.
No, I think if you push it down, you'll allow it to slip out.
Got it.
From what I remember. There. It's a wire, right?
There.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Okay. Carburetor comes out.
What is it? WJ?
76 probably? 320.
Oh, it's a Tillotson.
Is it Tilly?
That's probably why it tunes so good.
This is a Tillotson?
Tillotson.
Well, I don't know.
That's a good carburetor.
I think I got this. This I think I got from HL Supply, actually. Pretty sure I did.
Let me see.
So I usually put... You can show the guys.
See, Tillotson. Tillotson.
Yeah.
The other carburetor is an aftermarket one, right?
Yeah, the aftermarket
Yeah.
carburetor's in there somewhere.
I like this carburetor though. This song tunes really good. That's not the problem with it.
Okay, let's pull.
They want this somewhere.
Yeah. Well, what I do is I put just some fuel line on there between the impulse and the carb and the gas intake, just because I don't want anything getting in there. You know, if it's running good, you don't want anything to get in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I gotta steal that. Oh, it's not ripped. If it was, it would be running funny.
Yeah. I don't remember how to take this.
I think if you push the boot in, then you can take it off.
All right, so
You
let's
gotta take the muffler
let's
off.
take the muffler
Yeah.
off first. Should I even take this off or no?
I think once you get the muffler off,
I won't need to do that. Yeah.
it's been a while since I've
Yeah.
done a steal. To be honest with you.
Is OEM decompression not leaking, robbing your power? I don't think so. Do you think the decomp was leaking?
No,
No.
because it would be running funny.
No. Mason says no.
Mm.
If Mason
It's
says
not
no,
necessarily a running issue, it's a power issue.
it's not. Right, it just doesn't have quite the pop
It doesn't have RPM.
that it should. Yeah.
It has 0 RPM.
Well, you get to 13,000 and then that's it about.
That's it.
Or, yeah.
So 64 will go to 14,000. 288 will go higher than this.
Well, the screen's not clogged,
Yeah.
and the opening's good enough.
That's a big opening.
It's a good size. It's a dual.
And it's got no baffle.
Right. There's no baffle in here. Yeah, there's a little score, but it scratches, but not. That's not scored.
How's the rings look?
That looks fine.
Oh, it's pretty good to me.
Yeah, there's some scratches, but they're definitely not hanging the rings. And a lot of the machine marks are there. Not all of them, but most of the machine marks are still there. So, let's pull this apart. Just going to take a couple of T27s there and get the muffler off. Yeah, the 660 definitely offers us something different. There's no question about that. Yeah, the 660 definitely offers us something different.
Throw a baffle in there and we'll have all our problems solved.
I don't know. I'm not convinced. No clog there on the other port.
Yeah, it's pretty good size too. Between the two ports.
Between the two ports,
Same area as
yeah.
the exhaust.
Yeah.
If you go too big, then it's just gonna be louder.
Is there anybody here I didn't give a shout out to? So this is a Tillotson carburetor, Allie. I thought it was Walbro. I'm wrong. Tillotson.
I thought it was a Walbro too. That was surprising.
So check this out. I've got a nice long T27, but I picked this up as a parts lot or not. There's you can look up long Torx, and there's a lot of all the long Torxes on eBay. Of course, all kinds of other little things. Like $18 shipped was nice. Nice parts pile. I think they've got more of them.
That was tight.
That's tight. Not quite as tight. Not quite as tight. But still reasonable tight, I'd say.
Bottom right one was really on there. Cylinder's tight.
Oh, God. I forget how this is on. I don't know whether I did a base gasket delete on this or what. I don't know.
Looks like you're gonna have to pry it. Screwdriver. It's always fun when you're stuck on like that.
Do as I say, not as I do, gentlemen. There we go. Okay. Okay. As I say, not as I do, gentlemen. Yeah, T27 Torx, which is most of the bolts on most Steels, and incidentally now some Huskies. Huskies converting over.
Oh, it's got lubrication in there.
Yeah, there's plenty of lube. That's not the problem.
Oh wow, you really opened up those rollers. You actually really poured that thing out. What's the top of this?
I try to do a nice job on this, Mason, you know.
It's got a flat top piston here.
I would say that that's kind of a funky...
Yeah, I'm saying that side looks more than under, doesn't it?
Something's
I don't know
up
how
with the
to
flow.
read wash that well though. Some guys are really good at it though. That's all we do.
Mike, have I pressure vac tested this crankcase? I don't remember, but based on what I see here, there's no leaks. That's not an issue. If you're able to tune it really, really well, and after X amount of tanks, you know, there's no scoring, then it's just not a problem. You know, you don't have a problem with leaks.
That was probably there. That looks like it was there already. From when you maybe it skipped off the rotor.
Yeah, maybe.
There's lube in here though. It's definitely getting.
Yeah, this is plenty wet in here.
I could probably lean it out more, but I didn't want to go too crazy. You know what I mean?
Well, what's interesting is. So, hey, Craig, can you look at something for me? Okay. Craig or Vince, can you look at the wash on this piston for me and tell me what you see? Because this is completely bare right here.
No, it's like the right side's falling more than the left. Doesn't it? And what side on the cylinder would that be? So this side.
So maybe something's...
If you look at the top of that port, it's carboned up, and look at the top of that one.
And there's no carbon there. So, sorry guys. Here, let me...
Yeah, I wonder if you put a ring in here. If you put a ring in here, I wonder if that one, because it almost looks like you ground that side.
Funky flame front, yeah.
You ground that side for sure, I think. But if you look at the other side, maybe they were uneven and you evened them up.
I tried to even them up, yeah. That's what I was going for, but maybe I overdid something, I don't know. So,
Definitely a cross cylinder now.
yeah,
Cross, yeah.
MMWS. So, okay, where the maybe so yeah, which transfer is aiming wrong? Effectively, this one's aiming wrong, the one on this side, because of the carbon, or is the one with no carbon the one that's aiming wrong? So the one with no carbon is this one here.
Have you ever taken apart like a well-used like stock saw and look at the wash?
No.
Like sometimes they look pretty even, sometimes they're not. Could be mixed, I don't know.
Well, this is interesting because the that's the one that I ground on. So right here is the one that I ground on. It's smoother than the other side.
Maybe that's why. Maybe put a ring in there and see if they're even.
The one with no carbon be like my guess. So check this out. Let's look at the head. And let me see if I can bring the flashlight. 16 people watching. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay. So that side has carbon on it in the transfer. This is the side without the carbon. How's that for interesting?
You might have smoothed it out more.
So this is the side I smoothed out more. I didn't smooth this one because it was even. The two were even left to right, if I remember right. So let's do this. Let's get a piston. Let's use that piston. And I'm not using those pistons.
Wow, this
those
one
rings.
actually has pretty nice wash. Did you clean this off though?
I haven't touched that.
Wow. Even this kind of looks funky, like. See? And this has.
So you can see I filled this in here.
Oh wow, you filled that a lot.
Yeah, so it's filled.
You definitely filled that a lot.
Let's pull a ring off there. Let's see. I think the timing might be advanced on this already. Okay.
I thought about pulling off the five out look, but
I'm gonna put a ring in here just to see. Actually, give me the piston too. I need the piston because I need to push it down. Pull the ring off there.
Wow, these rings are soft on this piston.
Down there. So this is a regular old Chinese piston. This is a regular Hustle piston here. So all I'm doing is I'm pushing the ring down to see how even left to right sport work was. It's up a little high. Just need to go here. That's right on it.
Really even.
That's darn even on that side. That's not terrible either. That's sloped a little bit more towards the front.
I almost can't tell the difference.
Hey Ellie, how are you?
We'll get the corner on the front of that, and we'll get a corner on the front of that. The side you ground on is cleaner. See what I mean? That
Yeah, the
corner,
side the side I ground on is definitely cleaner.
I don't know if that could make that much of a difference, though. You know.
It's really being picky though. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
overall, would that be the significant decrease in power that I'm seeing, you know?
I think the exhaust height needs to be raised. That's probably going to release the power. I don't know.
Well, the question is, do you want me to mess around with the Chinese head? Should we play around with that other highway head? Or should I muck around with this guy right here?
Muck around with that.
You think I should mess around with the crosshead?
I would be really interested to see. Because I know what that runs like. What if you put bridge ports in there? Would that give it RPMs? Have you ever tried that? I'd be really interested to see that.
Where am I going to bridge from and to?
Wait, right there. Bridge. You know what I'm talking about? Wait, I think I've seen it in Walt's Saw.
How's the piston skirt to the intake and no in exhaust, no gaps? I think it's okay. I can check, but
We could check how tight this piston is in there compared to that. I think the port timing is going to be the biggest key in that.
you think I need a little bit more on the exhaust here? I got to grind that down a bit.
What about it?
I got to grind the exhaust down a bit so it opens a little sooner. That way we get a little more RPM.
I think that would be the biggest gain.
Does it have any free porting? I don't think so. I'd have to stick it back on and look. Here, let's stick it back on and look here. What we should do really is take the rest of this apart a little bit more, because obviously we're going to be messing with this a little more than...
The crank looks good, though. I mean, it's not blued or anything.
Right, the crank is perfect. It's perfect looking.
How's that feel on the rod?
No play? Oh, I think that's significant because you run plenty of oil. I think the Chinese stuff, I think if you run a good amount of oil, you get into less trouble.
41.
Yeah, you get into less trouble.
And tune it, not screaming.
Not screaming.
Yes. I believe I kept this in late 14.
All right, so let's keep pulling this apart. Craig, we'll check that. Let's check that. 19 people watching. Jeez. Anybody here that I didn't give a shout out to? 19 people.
It has plenty of torque. It just needs RPMs. That's what I think.
All right. Gonna mess up a perfectly good port job here. Just because Mason says so.
I mean, you thought it was lackluster before. Me too. I thought you had to be lying because you were used to running at 394.
I know.
But I mean, no, there is something that this needs. Then I ran it against the 064.
And it should do
It
better,
should be spanking that saw.
at least the same or better than the
It should
064,
be
and it
spanking
definitely
it.
was not. Definitely was not.
It's
So
bigger. Bigger isn't always better, no.
I hate these things. Just for the record, I can't stand like that part of steel stuff. Just drives me berserk.
It's a pain in the ass to take the tank off.
It just is. It just is. Is the OEM? It's not an OEM coil. It's an aftermarket coil.
That could be a problem too.
It's a carb. It's a brand new Tillotson original carb. So, I have a hard time thinking that it's a carb issue. It was a little underpowered when I had the aftermarket carb on it as well, and I figured changing out to the OEM carb would make a change. It tunes better, but it doesn't really make any more power necessarily. That's not good. That's a steel OEM AV mount. Why is that? Why is that being a pain in the neck? Okay, let's do.
Yeah. That's a nice trick.
Just figured that one out.
Keep that in mind.
Okay, so do you think it's a coil issue? Mason runs saws like all day, every day. And Larry, I agree the Chinese coils are junk, but
It has torque. It needs RPM.
I don't think it's the coil.
The throttle response is pretty decent. Usually when the timing's retarded, the throttle response isn't great, right?
Yep. Is that a steel? No, not exactly, Barry.
Do I think an OEM coil would make a difference? Maybe, but I don't think it would gain like the porting would. I mean, 660s aren't really known for being impressive saws anyway. But it should be better than what it is.
Right.
It should be a lot better than what it is.
Yeah, I don't trust the aftermarket coils with 372s or 394, 395s. It's just not worth it really to deal with that. But here, I'm not convinced that that's the issue. I think I screwed up the port work. Although does it really look like I screwed anything up? I don't see anything that's bad in there, you know. Does it really look like I screwed anything up? I don't see anything that's bad.
I was actually surprised how the transfers, what they really opened them up to.
And they came mostly like, so the other one, the one on the side that I didn't grind, it basically came like that. You didn't have to open up. That's the beauty of the cross cylinders, is the transfers are wide open to start with.
That's a big help.
So it can be a big help and you much less grinding, you know. You're just not doing nearly as much grinding.
I think what we'd like to see is a little more RPM.
All right. So what's the easiest way to do this? Pull the coil off. Pull the tank off. Or pull the wires out. Maybe pull the wires out. Let's put the wires up. Oh man.
This was a 372. Would have already.
Oh my God! I'd have the case split by now if it was a 372. The case would be in two pieces, just for the hell of it, you know.
People say steels are easy to work on, and not necessarily. I'm
Yeah.
gonna disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm not. Obviously, I'm not that familiar with the 660, and I've done a few, but I'm definitely not that familiar with it.
Sure, Trey Monkey would have a video of him doing it in about 10 minutes.
Right, he'd be
Yeah.
done. Scott would be done in like 10 minutes. Have we heard from Scott? How's he doing? How's he feeling? Did
I
we
heard
heard?
he's riding his bike.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, I've had a bit of a rough go of it.
That's the thing with the 372, though, is anybody can work on them. You don't have to be knowledgeable at saw to work on one.
Just pulling the wires out of here. This has good torque. It just doesn't have quite the RPMs it could have in order to generate enough juice, you know?
An 064 or 288 smokes this thing.
It pulls a 28-inch bar.
Yeah,
That's not a problem.
it's just not fast.
It's just not fast in the wood, you know?
And if you listen to the sound of the exhaust on this thing, you can tell it's just so fat.
It doesn't have quite the pop.
Yeah. I wouldn't even bother comparing the 394 to this thing.
Okay. Now will it come off? Guys, please bear with me. I really don't know what I'm doing here, so. Yeah, that should come down. Or is
It's
there-
still stuck in this one?
Say, is there something stuck?
This is the point where we hear that loud pop.
It should just, I think it should just slide out.
There we go.
Yeah, it's stuck on the rubber, that's all. Okay.
And you put OEM steel rubber on this thing.
No, this is steel rubber here, but the because the aftermarket one just got destroyed like instantly. Druba Inc. Salute. Oh my. All right, so we got
I do have to say,
the Hungarians here, just so you know.
I noticed that this vibrates pretty good. but not terribly, but it does vibrate.
That's why people like the 288,
Yeah.
because it doesn't quite have the vibration.
And it's smoother than this.
So it's not a piston slapper. Now we got to pull the flywheel also, just to make it easy to do timing and whatnot.
Do you have a method? I shouldn't have done that.
No, this actually has a flywheel puller. Yeah, a special flywheel
Yeah, that's
puller.
right.
Yeah, this one's kind of like cheating, actually. I know one guy make a steel run like a husky. He lives out west.
Wait, what did he say?
Larry says he only knows one guy that can make a steel run like a husky, and that guy lives out west.
Then who is he?
Maybe Larry's not telling.
What is that?
Piece of clutch.
A basic clutch?
Yeah, it's clutch pieces. Sometimes the I'll show you in a minute. Hot Saws 101, Larry says.
Maybe, what? How many stages of porting do you offer?
How many stages of porting do I offer? I don't offer anybody anything.
I heard its highest stage is $1,000. That's a lot of money. He has some pretty interesting videos. You've seen his videos?
I've seen some. I have heard. Maybe I'll send that guy a set of tools and see what happens. Be funny.
Try it.
Mega was timed out by Ken Small Engines for 300 seconds.
Interesting. This thing has the third leg, so you get rid of the 3-leg coil. Because I think some of them, my L64 has a 3-leg.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the heck that was, and
That's like for like if you have like a dog leg coil.
okay.
So you have the option of doing it.
And I'm missing something. Hang on, I'll be right back. I need to grab my impact is upstairs. Impact so I can thing apart and I can put this here so it doesn't matter. See, James, you're not the only one with an itchy trigger finger. Now I gotta find. Here it is. There's the flywheel puller. Alright, hang on a second. Sorry, guys. Pay for greatness, yeah.
How do you get that nut off?
Impact.
Oh, you used the impact?
Yeah.
I wasn't watching.
Now, unfortunately, they didn't make it, so you can just go. Still going, Patrick.
That's one thing I do like about the Steels.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid to have to do it this any other way. But if you look, is my timing advanced?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So it's not the timing.
Nope.
Nope.
I knew it wasn't the timing. It's the port timing.
It's port timing.
Not the flywheel timing. Maybe we should check the clutch timing.
Don't want to lose that thing, but clutch timing.
Could probably measure how much it took off.
Actually, I think I did pretty good with that. I took about 20, 30 thousandths off.
Yeah, it wasn't popping in the cut either.
No. Seal looks fine. No issue there. All right. Getting clogged again. I can feel it here.
We've eliminated a lot of things on this saw. Carburetor, flywheel. Maybe we could swap the coil, but I really don't think that's the issue. I don't think it is.
No, neither do I.
It starts easy. One, I don't want one.
Mega should be back. Did you guys kick him out permanently? Ken. That's not right.
I wish I had a Symington 451.
That's not right.
They're expensive, though. Very expensive.
Pull the rings off here. Just make it a little easier to check timing numbers.
I might watch you do this because I want to get a wheel myself.
We can make a wheel. That's why got that call from Mike in Kentucky just earlier. 5 minutes are up. So where's Mega? Maybe he's just being quiet. 26 people here watching. Who's here? Who didn't get a shout out?
Probably have to flush the case before we're done.
Flush the case. Making us suffer, yeah.
It didn't carbon up too bad though. I ran a lot of fuel through this thing. I'm telling you, I ran like
How many gallons?
gallons.
Gallons.
Lots. That's all I've seen a lot of wood.
You prickly towards me. Hey, Tim. Tim Elkington. What's going on, man? So just as a quick summary, so we're taking apart this 660. It was running reasonably well, but it just wasn't exciting to run. Good torque, but not that exciting. So something's up somewhere, and we were trying to figure out exactly what. So now we want to go back and look kind of at port timing numbers to see exactly where we're at. And so let's put the head back on.
It's got a nice thick base under.
Oh, real thick, yeah.
I'm interested to see if the numbers are on the cylinder actually maybe measure a different way now. Maybe it's also be 110. That would explain things.
That would explain things, yeah. Is Mason a tree guy by trade?
I'm a logger.
He's a logger. For now.
For
For now. Is the spark plug hole in the right position? I hope so. The cylinder looks pretty good. I gotta admit. But Vince, that's not a bad idea. I can look. Patrick Mason's here, also known as Husky Boy, on OPE forum. And I've got two other cylinder heads here that we can actually play with and jerk around with. And I'm just not typically the guy that takes a head off and starts messing with it to try to get a little more pop. In general, it's not me. I'm gonna go real fast here without having a time. Here's the time. Oh, it's got my M10 on it already. All right. So somebody wanted to see this. I think it was Mike from Kentucky. Wanted to see how I did this. So this is just a piece of basically 1/4 inch like brown board or whatever. You can use aluminum. You can use plywood. Nothing on OPE Forum. So go to opeforum.com and you can find Husky Boy and heckle him if you want. Because he's standing right here. You can do it now. But you'll notice right here, there's a seam. I printed this out and pasted the two together. Masonite, yeah. So I pasted the two together. So as long as this is straight, you're pretty good. The idea is that you've got 360 degrees of rotation, and if you want to measure things, this is certainly the easiest way to do it. So now the issue becomes, how do you actually attach this or affix this to the crank, and how do you do it so that there's some consistency? And what you want is this top dead center on some reference point, so that as you turn this, every time you come back to top dead center, you know that the piston is straight up and down. But this has got to be to a reference point. So I'm going to show you very quickly how I do that. So these are literally just pneumatic couplers.
Oh wow, from an air gun. Right?
From an air gun and some washers. And this is just like the couplers again, and I happen to thread this for M10 by 1.0. So next thing to do is to thread that on, and apparently this is in the way. So now I got to take that off. Didn't want to take the cover off, but I'm gonna have to.
It's a pain in the ass getting the oil in on this thing too.
Well, why is there oil everywhere here?
I started it before I came here.
Okay.
I did notice in hot weather, the vent for the oil tank does not let air in. I mean air out. So sometimes it'll pressurize out the oil hole, which is interesting.
Right now they have the upgraded oil pump for this. If you wanted to get the upgraded high output pump, China's making one. I guess that's pretty good.
I'm surprised they did that. Maybe they're actually listening now.
Well, the head of Farmer Tech is now on Facebook, so he's basically taking suggestions from people on Facebook. So, which is pretty cool.
Oh boy.
I had it. Come on. Okay. It's gonna go. Or not.
It's funny they go when you don't want them to go.
There. Watch your eyeballs. Somebody needs them to clone the 288 and the 395 are effectively coming out fairly soon, Craig. What's the verdict, Larry? It's dead. Everybody can go home now. That's the verdict. Hold your turn. Come on.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Well, there's no margin for error with any of this stuff. That's the thing, is it's so tight. Ow. What the heck was that? Piece of plastic sliced my finger open. Hang on a second. Owie. Alright. Let's put this back. Should be able to lift this. Why can I not lift this out? It should just come out.
If you take the brake band off, maybe.
I can do all that stuff, yes. But I'd rather not.
Probably have to.
On the 372, you can just lift this out like easy too. Here you can't. You need to. There we go. There goes that.
There's the little.
Yeah, thank you. So let's see if that makes it easier. Probably not.
There's a little spring in there.
Yeah, but this here should now just lift. Because the E-clip is gone.
I've been on there for so long. It's just...
Let's try it the other way. Just done. What, is the damn thing mushroomed? It's almost like it's mushroomed. This piece should just straight off. Hey, Bob. It won't come off. The E-clip's gone. It should fall off this damn thing.
Yeah, that should be coming out. Alright, bigger set of pair of pliers.
I got bigger pliers, but grabbing it's not the problem.
Maybe if you grab it on two sides to keep it straight, you know what I mean?
I think it's actually mushroomed. See, because it's up now.
Oh, it's mushroom. There. 10 minutes just to get that thing off. Maybe take a file to that hole.
That thing. Okay. So now that's out of the way. We can go back to the timing wheel. See, forget what you were going to do. All right, let's see how we did with the timing wheel. Spark plug out. This. And so now we can put this on. Now, what I try to do is I try to screw this on reasonably tight here. It's really got to be on tight. Now you can do this with a drill chuck. A lot of guys do it with, they make these with a drill chuck. So the first person I saw with that idea I think was either Walt or Mastermind. I forget offhand. I have a piston stop in here, just a piece of aluminum, nothing crazy. And the piston stop is basically completely at an arbitrary spot. Completely arbitrary. Where are all my wrenches? Hang on, where are my wrenches? And 9/16 are the ones I need. Okay. So I know that 9/16. So again, we're going to tighten this onto the crank. Oh, piston stop was not good enough for it. So. So it's pretty tight to the crank. So now we can do is visually, I can take and put my light on here and look visually roughly where top dead center is. Somewhere about there. So I can see just in the piston, see the piston go up and down, and you more or less get it to top dead center. Okay, so now the piston's there. Now you can use a coat hanger. You can attach a coat hanger here and create a reference point. All I do is get two dark marks, line them up visually, and I can see this way visually. You can use a coat hanger, whatever you like. There's all kinds of different ways to do it, but you got to create a reference. And then what you do is you move top dead center effectively without moving the piston. So if you go back and forth here, you are moving the piston. So now you have to have some way of moving your wheel over to what is sort of top dead center. So with this setup, I can loosen this. Again, move your and then I move that over roughly to my reference point. It's rough right now, it's just rough.
Good.
Tighten it down a little bit.
It's pretty nice setup.
And this is all kinds of silly, but it works. So then what you do is you put your piston stop back in, and you feel this go clank. And this has to be repeatable. So if I look on here, right now it's about 51-ish. And I go back the other way till it stops. And I've got 36. 36 to 51 is 15. Right? 36 to 51, the differential is 15. Divide that by 2, you get 7, 8-ish. So I need to move this basically 7 degrees to balance it. So 36, 40, that's 4. That's all you're doing is you're just balancing it. Once you do this a few times, it just ends up being a whole lot easier. Clank. Okay. Move this over. Again, just to make sure where it's balanced to. See, I'm moving it. That's no good. Hang on. Let's go back the other direction. So that's 45. Excuse me. That's roughly 40 there now. And that's like 43, 44 to go back. Like 41. Back over here. That's like 44, 43. Now I can give it a little bit more tighten. That's 43-ish. Go back here, 41. So I need one more degree, 1 or 2 more degrees here. And I'm going to hold it, move it, 1 more degree, tighten it. And back to like 41 here. And that's 42. So plus or minus half a degree. And I think we're going to be fine with that. For what we're doing here, I don't think it matters that much. But there you go.
We're not going into timber sports.
We're not doing timber sports, no. So plus or minus half a degree, I think we're fine. So now you can go around and look, and you can double check, again, visually, that you're good. You can also look on the exhaust. Let's say you want to look in the exhaust here.
That's
So
what I'm interested in.
that's what we're interested to see. You can check and make sure it's correct both directions. So the exhaust is measured. You can measure it a number of ways, but before top dead center, when does it open essentially? And I had on here written 102. So I bring this over and I can look and see where it opens. So Mason can look at this and confirm what I'm doing and what I'm not doing.
More.
Right about there.
Yeah.
And you can see like it's more opening more on that side
Yes.
than it's on here. So it's not quite as balanced as it could be.
Right there.
Right there. Okay. So we can visually look at it and say, okay, where are we at over here? 91. You read it. That's 90. 80 equals 100, and then a few more beyond that. So 100 and what?
2.
102.
Holy shit, we're right out of money.
102. So you have it. There you go. So my number,
Maddie isn't a liar.
what I ground in the top of the head is
I
good.
thought it was going to be like at least 1 off or something.
Yeah, you can buy degree wheels too. That's fine.
I was thinking I need to get one. I wonder what your transfers are at.
Well, the easiest way, you can look at transfers. So like I can look visually in down in here and see effectively where the transfers are at. It is not easy to see. Right about there. You read it.
You're looking at like 50 cents.
So 90, 110. This is 90, 100, 110, 120.
Wait, so 60 is 120?
90, 100, 110, 60 is 120, yeah.
Wait, 125 and a half?
That's 125 and a half. So the easiest way to confirm it on the transfers is to put a ring in. Bring it to 120 and see where you end up.
I think you can raise the transfers in this too, since they're like 125.
But let's actually, because visually doing it is not as accurate. So,
They're probably
but
off,
let's
yeah.
look at the intake and see where we end up.
Judging by
Vince says aftermarket coil. Okay.
Judging by how accurate the exhaust was, I bet you're right on the transfers.
Vince, you're duly noted. But look at how flat the intake is. Look at this.
Wow. Yeah, you did a good job on filling out.
Yeah, that's filled in and it's flat. It's friggin' flat. Like, that's nice. So right about there is the intake. Here, you can read it from there. There. Is that 80?
83 and a half. 83.
I didn't fill it in enough? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't touch that for sure.
I didn't need to fill it in more. Because I thought it was 8. Hang on, let me double check that. But you can check it from both directions, remember. So right about there. That's intake.
83 and a half.
83 and a half.
I wouldn't touch it.
Let's go to the other side. Watch this. Let's go to the other side here. Check there.
Wow, you're right on 80. Or an 80. So what does that mean? Does that mean the wheel is off?
That means the wheel is off. That might be like 81. So the wheel's off by like a degree.
That's
So
not
again,
bad.
it's not bad. So you check it either way and say, okay, maybe it's still a little bit too much intake, but you really don't want to mess with it.
I wouldn't mess with it.
Right.
This thing's pretty good on fuel too.
Right. If it's good on fuel, all right. So we don't want to screw with that.
And it tunes easy.
I think the thing is the exhaust, and we have to make sure the transfers are as good as possible here. So let's do this. Let's see if we can get the wheel just a slight bit more accurate, which we might be able to do.
I'm thinking raise the exhaust to 100.
Maybe go more. Maybe do like a 98 because we have the compression.
That's 40. I say go for it. Because I bet you in 060, I think in 064, it was like 100.
I gotta tweak that back just a shade.
What's a 288 usually get for numbers?
Beats me.
Hmm.
Most of the time they don't have like really high intakes. Most it's like a 76 on the intake.
Wow.
73, 76, somewhere in there.
So Huskies usually run less intake.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's like 41 and a half, 42. That's like a 41 and a half. All right, that's got to be closer.
I'm gonna check transfers again. 'Cause I think 125. That can't be true, can it?
So here, let's do
How
this.
do you do this?
So I know exactly how to fix the transfers, just to your liking, Mason. Here's what we do. We move this to bottom dead center. So now we have the references on the head, and now all we got to do is stick a ring in the cylinder.
I think you put it in the dish. Didn't you?
Put it in the dish.
I have one.
These are the old rings for
Here.
this, but I need give me that one. That's what I need. So the easiest thing here to do first is the transfers. Let's set this. I'm going to set this to 120 because that's where I want it, right? But I'm going to go slightly shy of 120. I'm going to go like 121 and see where it ends up. Yeah, 372, 80, 100, intake and exhaust. Sure, that's what I usually do. I might do 100, maybe like 102 on a 372. Anywhere in there is fine.
So, in terms of blow down, these things like what, 20 degrees?
Yeah, somewhere in 20
That's
degrees.
where
or
I
whatever.
start to get lost. You guys start talking about blow down. I'm trying to understand it a little bit.
I don't understand all of it. I'm not a
From what
porting
I
theory
understand-
guy. But here's the trick. So we got a ring in there now. So this is where the rubber meets the road. Is you can once the ring is in there, then you just take this and bring that to whatever you want. So 90, 100, 110, 120. Bring it right up. I'm gonna bring it up to like 121. Back it back off to bottom dead center. And now the ring is at exactly the right spot. Wherever you want it, you know.
It's interesting, right? You know how guys talk about the 046 having really short blowdown, like some of the early ones or something like that. That's like right on the money. Look at that transfer, how it's just slightly worded.
There's almost a lip this way. Yeah. Show the camera.
It's so hard to
That I
see
do.
though. Can you see it? Stick no light in it more.
You don't want to have too much light. Here, move that down like that so the camera can see in, and then move the light, but move the light back. Yep, because it ends up being too much light. Oh no, I was wrong. There. Somewhere in there.
And then that's the other side. That's the side you didn't grind on, right?
Yeah, one of the sides I didn't
This
grind
one,
on at
right?
all because these were, darn close. So I think I'm right there. That's like 121.
You're right, no, there is a lip. It's just slight now. It's almost not even worth grinding. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think the transfers are really worth.
You might.
What I might want to do on this one is smooth it. Is just take the plating off, just to smooth it. Because this one obviously is flowing a little bit better. But that's really darn close. Yeah, it might screw it up. So, all right. So the next thing to do is the exhaust. So let's figure that.
I'm with you, though. I think 98 or something like that. I almost bet that picture. It's gonna wake up a lot more.
It's the thing with these. You have to have the screws like started. Go in. How am I supposed to get that screw in there?
You're right, though. There is no room for air with this steel stuff. It's just so everything.
Well, somebody mentioned the blow. Is there free porting? So let's look at that. But yeah, there's just so little room here for mucking around because if you muck too much, you're going to end up free porting.
The ink deck the cylinder on this.
Did what?
Deck the cylinder.
Probably.
Yeah.
I probably decked the cylinder. I probably didn't. I don't think I mucked around with the crankcase. Just because the cylinder's so thick, you can play with the base on the cylinder a lot.
Seems like it would take a lot of setup work to get the crankcase.
Let's go. All right, bottom dead center. We need to bring the ring up to whatever we want for exhaust. So now, let's say we wanted. Let's bring it up to 100, 90, 100. Here's 100. So right about there is 100. And if I grind a little further, not the end of the world.
You really can't see how much bigger those transfers are than that cylinder, though. That's a big difference. That would take a lot of grinding on that to get it to.
Yeah. Let's look and see where we're at here. Yeah, basically to the edge of the bevel. So if we took it to there,
Yeah.
it would be quite a bit of a change. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit it with the carb cleaner. Sorry, brake cleaner. And the spark plug hole, by the way, is on center.
Is what?
The spark plug hole looks like it's on center. Does that look like it's screwed up? That doesn't look like it's screwed up.
No. I don't think I even took the plug out of this thing, to be honest with you. I just tuned it and ran it and did the wire. That's it.
So now I can just take on the ring, where the ring's at, Now I can just take and hit it with a Sharpie, and you've got a reference line, you know?
So by raising it exhaust, we're effectively making the blow down longer, right?
Yes.
Yes. And what is making the blow down longer? Wait, what the heck does that mean? Does that mean it's going to change?
It means that there's more time between when the exhaust opens and then the transfers open.
So it gives more time for the transfers to fall.
Yes. Something like that. Yeah.
So the wash might get better.
Now you're challenging me.
The wash might get better.
Maybe. Trying to think. Gotta let the Sharpie dry. Otherwise it just smears. And then you don't have a good reference point.
That's actually quite a bit of raising to do.
Yep.
That's almost a half a millimeter, right?
Maybe more. It might be a millimeter. It might be a millimeter. Hey, that'll work. Got my handy dandy grinder.
So today, or after work, after grinding in the mouth of people, or grinding in the port of a chainsaw.
Lots of grinding today.
Oops, up. If you screw this up, it's not as much of a big deal.
Right.
It's not smiling. You can't see it smile.
If I screw this up, I'm going to be pretty pissed. But I've got a lot of work into this. There's an enormous amount of work into this stuff. You know.
I could tell you spent a lot of time in the lowers of that. That takes a long time to do.
Yeah. All right, let's clean this up just a little bit.
How is the plating on this? Is it chip easy?
Some aftermarket heads chip real easy. Others don't, and it's weird. It's not necessarily even brand specific. I've had some highway plate jobs that were beautiful and they chipped instantly, and then others don't chip.
It's almost like it hardened or something.
They feel a little rumbly, yeah. Stock steel versus stock China. Have you run stock steel versus stock China saws?
I ran the 064 against this thing and it smoked it.
And your stock 064
It
beat this.
Well,
it's muffler
base
modded.
gasket,
Base
yeah.
gasket, muffler modded.
I didn't touch the ports.
So, but the thing is, like this saw versus some of the other Chinese 660s that I've ran, this just didn't have the pop.
Really? So against
Even other Chinese 660s, I
Interesting.
just
so that
Mustang
confirms it.
Mikes even, yeah, when Mustang Mike saw this, they felt considerably better than
Oh,
this.
his are pretty decent.
Yeah, so something was up here.
The best one I ran was one that Walt had. That he brought to the New York get-together.
One of those that Walt had that he brought to the New York get together, he didn't do anything to.
It was cut
And it was
fast.
pretty good, you know. He just slapped it together and it was like, hey, this is gonna be good, you know.
Sometimes you hit or miss.
Right, it's really frustrating sometimes. All right. Here we go. See, so I've got a really round, if you look, I've got a really rounded edge on that side there, so that it'll be a nice transition for the rings.
I see what you mean.
But you really want to keep the center pretty much as flat as you can. the more flat, the more efficient. When you have a valve open, you want a crisp open, right?
So you want the sides to be kind of square. Yes.
You want these sides to be round. A little ideal would be square, but you can't get square because square is going to hang rings,
Yes.
right? So square and flat would be ideal, but you can't do that with an exhaust.
Yeah. On the intakes you can now, right?
On the intakes you can, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that looks better than it did before, honestly. I have a feeling this is gonna really weaken up. And when you you use sandpaper, right? Just
I'll
On the
I'll
edge,
show you.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll do that here in a minute, but I gotta do a little bit more in the center here. It's pretty dang flat looking. Not sure I want it quite that flat, but you really don't like the grinding, do you, Megan?
it's been grinding. Some guys don't like it.
You don't like the grinding.
I don't like grinding in my mouth.
You rather the grinding, you rather the dying. See? choice.
Laughing gas.
Mega says no, 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 no.
Now that's a ball. Where did you buy that?
Ball diamonds, eBay.
Really?
This is a football.
That's a what one?
Football. Shoot. It's in there somewhere.
That's it.
So if I want to put a bevel on, I'm going to put a bevel on with the diamond here. Usually I do this last, but whatever. Okay, so there's your bevel. Now, what we need is the sandpaper.
And what was that bit called?
That's just a football diamond.
What?
Round. You get a ball diamond or football.
Football.
Yeah, like the shape of a football.
So all I have to do is type it on eBay.
Well, you can get a diamond. Like, see,
Holy shit! Where did you get that?
get a diamond eBay. You get a diamond assortment.
Wow.
They're not even that. They're not that expensive.
Holy shit!
You like it?
Damn. Definitely on my what list.
It's your Christmas list, right?
Yeah. Kidding. Of course I'm not buying this. You know how long it takes to do that with sandpaper? Forever.
Oh, here it is. Here's my freaking thing.
It's nice to have it.
Then you have. This is just a drywall screw. Just a drywall screw with some sandpaper attached to it, and this will help shine it up a little bit.
I agree. Once you commit it, don't get it over with.
So now I got to turn this speed way down. So watch this. This shines up great. And you can spend, near on forever doing this too. You want to go from one angle and then from the other. And then this wears out pretty quick. It's a ghetto flat wheel. Oh yeah. You take a little piece off. A ghetto flap wheel, yeah. Look out.
Those do wear off.
Yeah, they wear out kind of quick, but good news is I have more. So here's some 50 grit. Take a chunk off
That's
like
pretty
this.
aggressive.
Yeah. This is just 50 grit. And you can go to 120 and 220 and 1,000. I mean, you can go to whatever grit you want.
We're not going to timber sports.
We're not going to timber sports. No.
This isn't a bike song.
Not an alcohol song. Getting there. Looking better, huh?
Yeah.
It's amazing what you do with 50 grit. It looks pretty darn good.
I wouldn't.
How much
I wouldn't
further do you really
complain.
need to go, right?
Think we have a winner.
Check it out now.
Wow. That's really nice.
Isn't that cool? All right, let's go to 220 just for the hell of it. Because we've got the 220 here and we might as well. Check that out.
That's really nice. Well, I think it's actually smoother than it was before.
Hopefully it generates more pop than it does before too, but you know, whatever.
I bet you this is gonna make a big difference. It's probably gonna.
1,000 grit. Patrick says 1,000. I get 1,000 good. Just not going to do that for you guys, you know, because yeah, well, this saw is not exactly worth it. Let's put that in there. How'd I do? Okay.
I think I have to head out soon.
All right.
I don't want to be rude or anything.
Don't be rude.
Glad I stuck around to watch the recording, you know.
Well, you can screw around with this like near on forever. That's the problem, is you can just keep messing with it and playing with it and checking it and all that stuff. We can go with it for a long, long time here.
I think we're good enough for what we're trying to achieve.
Nikki, you showed up at the wrong time, buddy. Mason's gonna head out, and it's probably time for me to quit for the night too. Time to go play with the family a little bit, and chill out because I've been up too many hours already today. But big thanks to Mason for coming by and for testing out these saws for me. I don't get to run saws that much, so Mason's here, and he's my test guy for for my saws effectively, and he has a good time doing it too. So now that I meet Maddie, I always think to myself, what does this dentist do in his spare time? Whenever you meet some other dentist, yeah. Every single one of us have really weird hobbies. Really weird hobbies. Hello, Nikki. Nikki's from Ireland.
From where?
Ireland. Nikki,
Thailand.
No, Ireland.
Ireland.
He's in Ireland. We had Hungarians today. Ireland. Mega is actually in New Zealand.
I wonder what time it is there.
He'll tell you. Nikki, you missed a good show. This was fun. So, yeah. Anyway, let me. If I can, I'll come back on tomorrow, and maybe we'll put this thing back together. I'll get this kind of finalized here, and
I'll do my best to blow it up.
And then Mason's gonna do his best to blow it up because that's what he does. Yeah, this is Husky Boy. He's here, and he's got to go. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to take off too, and say thanks everybody, and we will catch you some other time. Okay, everybody.
Peace out.
Quick start. Warhawk 346 kit on sale, worth it without porting. Yep, it is. It's on sale right now. Maybe I should pick up some more of them. Have a good night, guys. Take care.